In a powerful moment in the Oval Office, 8 released hostages stood before U.S. President Donald Trump, not only to express gratitude for helping the most recent ceasefire deal come to fruition, but also to urge him to ensure the release of the remaining hostages is secured. ILTV's Aliyah reports.
In a highly anticipated meeting at the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump sat down with 8 Israeli hostages recently released from Gaza. The emotional encounter saw the freed captives express gratitude while urging Trump to use his influence to secure the release of those still in captivity. With 8 hostages standing before him, Trump listened as they shared messages of hope and appeal. Omer Shem Tov, one of the freed captives, called on the president to take action.
We believe you've been sent by God to release them. You can really help. Yes. You have the power to do it.
Others echoed the plea, recalling how his leadership gave them hope even while they were held in Gaza.
You were our hope when we were there, and now you're their hope.
Trump, known for his strong stance on hostage negotiations, reflected on their release and vowed to continue efforts for those still held.
We'll get them out. We'll get them out.
Thank you, sir.
As the meeting came to a close, the president reassured the group of his commitment, telling Shem Tov, "You've got a good future, I'm telling you." For these freed hostages, the fight isn't over. They're now using their voices to push for the safe return of those left behind. As international efforts continue, the fate of the remaining hostages remains uncertain. But for these survivors, hope is now tied to action.
And there are 59 more hostages still in Gaza, including the bodies of American citizens and one American who is still believed to be alive. Thanks, Ariella. Now, the Trump administration has confirmed that it's been holding direct talks with Hamas over the release of U.S. hostages held in Gaza. At the same time, President Trump issued a direct and graphic threat to Hamas, saying, "Release the hostages or, quote, it's over for you." ILTV's Steve Leibowitz has the details.
The White House confirmed that direct talks with Hamas were held by U.S. presidential envoy for hostage affairs, Adam Buehler. This was the first time the U.S. has ever before engaged directly with Hamas, which has been designated as a terror organization since 1997. Hostage ceasefire talks have been mediated by Qatar and Egypt. The talks took place in Doha in recent weeks. The Trump administration reportedly told Israel about the possibility of the meeting.
Well, when it comes to the negotiations that you're referring to, first of all, the special envoy who's engaged in those negotiations does have the authority to talk to anyone. Israel was consulted on this matter. And look, dialogue and talking to people around the world to do what's in the best interest of the American people is something that the president has proven is what he believes is good faith effort to do what's right for the American people.
Shortly after meeting with the 8 former Israeli hostages in the White House, Trump issued a sharp and graphic warning to Hamas. Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all of the hostages now, not later, and immediately return all of the dead bodies of the people you murdered, or it's over for you. Only sick and twisted people keep bodies, and you are sick and twisted. I am sending Israel everything it needs to finish the job. Not a single Hamas member will be safe if you don't do as I say. I have just met with your former hostages whose lives you have destroyed. This is your last warning. For the leadership, now is the time to leave Gaza while you still have a chance. Also, to the people of Gaza, a beautiful future awaits, but not if you hold hostages. If you do, you are dead. Make a smart decision, release the hostages now, or there will be hell to pay later. The U.S. envoy is talking directly to Hamas, and so is President Trump.
Thanks for that report, Steve. As we move forward to discuss this major news that was revealed that the Trump administration was holding direct talks with Hamas, something that was happening in secrecy and not typically done, as Hamas is a known terrorist organization to the United States. Joining us now to discuss is Danny Ayalon, the former ambassador to the U.S. Danny, thanks so much for joining us today.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you.
Now let's talk as this news comes out about these secret talks between the U.S. and Hamas in regards to the hostages still in captivity. Talk to us about the significance of this news. Why do you think the Trump administration engaged and took upon themselves to speak with Hamas?
Well, first of all, it's very significant because not only the U.S. has never had any direct contacts with the Hamas, also by American law, Hamas, which is named and listed very high on the terrorist list of the United States, by that actually prevents or bars any Americans, certainly American government representatives, to talk to Hamas. So in a way, it's a breach of a law, but I guess there is some maybe legitimacy for humanitarian reasons. I understand that they discussed mainly the American hostages that are held there, so they have a reason to do it. And it seems like the U.S. is doing I would say, a double approach or nuanced. On the one hand, they have a big club when they say that all hell will break loose in Gaza, and we know that if the war resumes in Gaza, then Israel will have no restrictions like before in terms of using munitions that have not been used before, with much more powerful force, of course, stopping the humanitarian aid. So it is a big club. On the other hand, I guess during this talks, they would like to see what is the give, or to see if Hamas will do it or will release at least some of the prisoners without having to, make good on the threats.
Right. There is just a lot to unpack when it comes to the relationship with the U.S. Now, there was a group of released hostages that met with President Trump in the Oval Office yesterday. And after that meeting, Trump threatened Hamas on X, saying this was their last warning if the hostages are not released. Now, Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, later said in an interview that Hamas should take Trump's comments seriously. What do you make of this?
Well, I think we should take it seriously because with all the threats that Trump, I would say, spread it around, whether it's Mexico or Canada or the EU, the Ukraine, and you name it, Greenland, he cannot just not make good on the threat. But in this case, that's not something that will necessitate involvement of direct American steps, not American troops. Here, the threat, if needed, will be materialized or realized by Israel. So in a way, it's easier for him to make this threat.
Yeah, and moving forward, I want to talk about another topic. The U.S. and Israel both rejected the Arab counterproposal plan for the reconstruction of Gaza in the future. How will a decision like this ever be made if there are two different sides putting out two different proposals? What is your take on that?
Well, first and foremost, we have to zero in on what is agreed upon. And I think it's agreed upon everyone that Hamas will no longer play a part in governing Gaza. Certainly, it will have to disarm. So this is the first thing that we must, certainly from our perspective, our interest, this has to be a given. And this is what we should bring most of the Arab countries, to this side. The Saudis, and I'm sure Emirates and many other countries would side with this position. Certainly the Egyptians, Hamas, we must understand, the Islamic Jihad over there, and certainly the Hamas global movement, which is the Ikhwan, or the Islamists in Egypt. They are a threat to all the regimes of the countries in the region, not just Israel. So this should be the departure point. After that, all the other details can be discussed later.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Danny Ayalon, the former ambassador to the United States. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Now, in the same day he took over the role, the new IDF Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, makes bold statements about future conflicts, referencing the Gaza Strip and Iran in 2025. Here are the details you need to know. From the hostages to the ultra-Orthodox draft and to focuses on Iran and the Gaza Strip, the new IDF Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, has started his 4-year term off with a clear focal point of what his targets are for the military and how he wants to address them. Zamir, who held his first assessment Wednesday evening, said 2025 will be a year of war, with a focus on the Gaza Strip and Iran. There have been looming threats of possible direct Iranian attacks, while the regime also funds the terror proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, which all surround the state of Israel in a strategic way for them. Zamir also talked about what victory looks like and, quote, preserving achievements and defending them in the other arenas.
לא נסלח ולא נשכח. זוהי מלחמת קיום. נמשיך במערכה להחזרת חטופינו ולהכרעה. המשימה שמוטלת עליהם היום היא ברורה. להוביל את צה"ל לניצחון.
On specific topics like Hamas, Zamir said they suffered a hard blow, but they have not yet been defeated and the mission is still not yet accomplished. Zamir made the move to place the photos of the remaining hostages still in Hamas captivity inside of his office, telling the generals the IDF will make every effort to return the hostages, saying it's, quote, a moral duty. Zamir also quickly made calls to establish a national commission of inquiry into the October 7th massacre. He said the IDF failures is so deep, the IDF and Shabak cannot be the only ones to investigate it. He is appointing an external panel of experts to evaluate the military's October 7th probes. He also made comments referring to the ultra-Orthodox community and how the IDF will work to expand their ranks. He said he urges all of Israeli society to participate in the mitzvah of defense of the homeland, saying it was a shared responsibility. And as you reported before, the White House has rejected the Arab plan for the post-war management of Gaza. Officials in Washington confirmed that the U.S. is sticking with President Trump's plan on taking over the enclave and relocating its residents. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
A clear statement from the Trump administration's National Security Council rejected the $53 billion Egyptian plan approved this week at the Arab Summit in Cairo. The plan called for rebuilding Gaza without moving its population. The Arab plan envisions the establishment of an independent committee of Palestinian technocrats to temporarily manage the Gaza Strip before handing it over to the Palestinian Authority. There is no role for Hamas. Washington said the Arab plan does not explicitly tackle the issue of Hamas and how the terror group will be disarmed. The White House said that the plan also does not address the current harsh realities on the ground because it envisions rebuilding without removing its population. The statement read, Gaza is uninhabitable and its residents cannot live there humanely when it's covered in rubble and unexploded bombs. The statement reaffirmed President Trump's stance on Gaza's future, which requires the removal of the population and its resettlement elsewhere. Despite the rejection of the plan, the U.S. statement said that Washington remains open to continuing talks on the issue. Trump's proposal involves resettling Gaza's residents during the enclave's reconstruction into a global economic hub.
Thanks so much, Steve, for keeping us up to date on all of that. Now, Jewish leaders from around the world gathered in Israel this week for the first ever Voice of the People Summit, a global initiative led by President Isaac Herzog. The event brought together 150 participants to strengthen unity, address key communal challenges, and shape a shared vision for the Jewish future. ILTV's Mayan Hoffman reports from the summit.
Some 150 people from Jewish communities worldwide arrived in Israel this week for the first gathering of Voice of the People, a global initiative led by President Isaac Herzog to strengthen unity and empower Jewish communities.
Our nation is ever challenged, the Jewish nation, the Jewish story, the story of Israel, the state of Israel, and the lack of knowledge and understanding of the challenges that each one of your respective communities faces has to be told to one another.
What I find here are people that are from all walks of life in the Jewish world, and I see a lot of new faces, a lot of innovative energy, and people that I don't necessarily know or have seen before, and so I think that's good.
The inaugural meeting took place in Haifa, marking the start of a collaborative effort to address key communal challenges, utilize data-driven insights, and shape a shared vision for the Jewish future.
It's almost like the diplomatic version of the startup nation.
The delegation included 50 participants from Israel, 50 from North America, and 50 from other regions worldwide. Over the course of 5 days, attendees engaged in meaningful discussions and developed actionable strategies to support Jewish communities globally. The Voice of the People initiative aims to turn the ideas exchanged during the summit into concrete actions.
Who are we and what is our voice? And I think that we are literally here to answer that question. When we talk about voice of the people, it's voice. We didn't say voices of the people, we said voice of the people. We might live in different countries, we might speak different languages, and somehow we're supposed to have one voice and we're supposed to be unified.
Throughout the summit, key sessions focused on themes such as adaptive leadership, crisis resilience, and the role of technology and data in shaping the Jewish future. Prominent academics, analysts, government and diplomatic officials, and community leaders led discussions on crucial issues, including security, combating anti-Semitism, strengthening Israel-diaspora relations, fostering Jewish unity, and leveraging data for strategic decision-making.
We have to make sure that we are strong together and that we know each other, respect each other, and break our heads together, bang our heads together to come for solutions that are so important for the future of our people.
I hope that there'll be practical, very, very innovative solutions that haven't been considered before.
Beyond the discussions, the summit was also about embracing diversity and fostering hope for a better future, especially in the wake of the October 7th tragedy and nearly a year and a half of war.
Jewish people will persevere. We need to be more in touch with our identity and our heritage. And I think when you come to a conference, The Voice of the People, and you see all the great energy here, you feel very hopeful.
For many, the process of moving to Israel can often be intimidating, but Nefesh B'Nefesh, a nonprofit organization that encourages and facilitates immigration to Israel for Jews worldwide, has made it easier. Together with the Ministry of Aliyah and Integration and the Jewish Agency, among others, they foster a safe environment and soft landing for Olim and ensure that no one is left alone in their Aliyah process. Joining us today is Mark Rosenberg, the Vice President of Diaspora Partnerships at Nefesh B'Nefesh. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Now, Nefesh B'Nefesh has many upcoming events. Can you tell us about what they are and what goes into planning these events?
Yes, we're having some major events. It's essentially in North America, an Aliyah Week, kicking off with an event in Chicago. With a concert with Yonatan Razel, we're expecting an incredible crowd of almost 800 people in attendance, with many staff from Nefesh B'Nefesh and the Ministry of Aliyah. It's a really incredible event. Moving to Toronto, where we have an Aliyah event for people practically trying to come in the summer, with appointments, 150 people, Olim, who are really actually working on getting their shipping together, their forms together, as well as a concert there with the same Yonatan Razel, and a little bit of engagement with Aliyah advisors and information there, with 700 people expected, and really culminating on Sunday and Monday with a Aliyah fair with over 900 people already registered. It's tremendous engagement with our partners, the Jewish Agency and the Ministry of Aliyah and Integration, trying to make sure that people who have curious questions about Aliyah are going to be able to address them and move their plans one step further.
And tell us, what kind of impact do you hope these events have on future Olim?
Well, I think that a lot of people some people are very inspired and they need resources, and some people have resources and they're looking for inspiration. So our events really try to give a little bit of both to everyone. Some people just need to maybe concretize their plans, and therefore the services that were offered at these various fairs and events really gives a sense of how to streamline things, how to make sure that people are getting their real estate questions addressed. If they're looking to study in university, there's representatives for the Minhal Studentim, be able to understand the tuition assistance they're going to get, what programs they should get to. There's insurance agencies, shipping companies. It really will give detailed questions where people have questions or people are looking for just, again, I use those concretize, really able to bring down a practical level of what they're going to need. And there's also a level of inspiration, not just meeting people who are able to help them, which gives a lot of confidence in the Aliyah process, but being in a room with hundreds of people who are looking to make this move together is really a boost of an infusion of energy.
And a few months ago, Nefesh B'Nefesh had a MEDEX event in Aliyah. Next week, there's going to be another one in New Jersey. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, Israel is in need of strengthening to its medical establishment, and one of the projects that we're working with the Ministry of Health is to bring physicians and medical experts to Israel to make sure that they can have a direct and speedy impact on the healthcare system in Israel. So we've been working with our partners to make sure that someone who's engaged in this process and wants to come can have a streamlined processing to make sure that they're going to bring their documents in. They're going to have an interview with the Israeli Medical Association. And at this fair that we're having, there's going to be representatives from different hospitals, Kupot Cholim, and other companies that are looking to offer jobs to these people. So on Sunday, we have over 260 physicians already signed up, and we're running out of appointments for people who really want to finish the licensing process, something that I know that if you're in Chicago and you're moving to New York, or you live in LA and you're moving to Florida, it's a licensing process in the United States from state to state. So it's naturally moved from country to country. You have to get those forms lined up. So we are really excited to be able to make this process with our partners much easier and simpler, that the process now is almost that someone can get approved before they even land in Israel. And as it seems, they'll also be able to have a sense about where they're working. And a week after they actually arrive in Israel, there'll be licensed doctors to care for Israeli citizens.
Now, if someone is considering attending an event but is not sure, what would you say to encourage them to come to Nefesh B'Nefesh events? What do these Nefesh B'Nefesh events offer to people that they cannot get anywhere else?
So I think we live in interesting times where, especially since the COVID epidemic, people can get lots of great information online, and we have tremendous resources on our website, on our YouTube channels. People take a lot of inspiration from our social media and Instagram. I think there's a value added in attending the events because sometimes you overhear other people's questions, and you take a lot of energy from being in the room. And I encourage people that are curious. Sometimes we're curious about certain topics that we kick around with our friends, whether we're on a walk or you're catching up with your friend. I heard this, I heard that, is to verify with the experts these questions. And what these fairs do, and engagement points with the government officials and Nefesh B'Nefesh, give you that contact to get true answers. And the speed of change is very, very fast these days. And if you met someone, Aliyah, who made 2 years ago, and they said, oh, it's fine with this, or you're bringing your driver's license for that, it isn't always true. So you really want to connect in to get the most up-to-date answers. And sometimes the financial planning advice you can get could just advance your plans. Sometimes hearing about a new project or a new neighborhood or a job opportunity will suddenly cause you to say, oh, maybe I could really do this. So coming is really not just an energizer, but it's a confidence boost for your plans. I think that's value added whether you're making Aliyah next year or in many years to come.
Mark Rosenberg, thanks so much for speaking with us today, and thanks for your time.
All the best.
Visit Nefesh B'Nefesh website to learn more about their upcoming MEDEX event in New Jersey this Sunday. And before we get to our weather forecast, residents in Eilat felt the ground shake when a 4.3 magnitude earthquake happened with the epicenter in the sea just south of Eilat, which is pretty crazy to say. And moving on to our weather forecast now, partly cloudy skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of around 14 degrees Celsius or 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see more cloudy skies with rain alongside steady temperatures, seeing highs of about 16 degrees Celsius or 62 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a wrap for our news today. For the latest updates from all of Israel, you can check out on your devices. Be sure to follow our ILTV channels, to subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Shosh Bedrosian. Thanks so much for watching.